Okay, so the fourth game in the Handball Chess Boss account, there was another one going on at the same time as this that only lasted about 2 moves. An opponent was timed out and then banned because it looked like they'd been cheating on their account. So another game there that only got 2 moves played. But in the meanwhile, this one went on. It's a little miniature, 15 moves long. So let's see what happened with this one. As I say, much harder games to come, of course. But let's see where we are. So as normal, opened d4. It's my favorite. g6. It's a book move known as the modern defense. And the idea is to put the bishop there. If you really feel like fun, you can play c5 as the third move. So you can play it as a system opening. But let's see what black did. Knight to f3 is fine. I think d4 is probably the most, e4, sorry, is probably more common, but it's fine. And then a slight change of plan. The opponent played f5. So although it now says modern defense, what it actually looks like becoming is the Dutch Leningrad variation. Well, one way to deal with the Dutch Leningrad is to simply throw the pawn up the board, because if black is planning on castling this side, it's rather nice to be using this rook on the h-file and open it up with this pawn. So, okay, that's what I think was done. And black decided to go to b6. The book move is just to develop the knight, to go to knight f6, which then protects that square. So it makes it a bit more tricky for white to just march the pawn down the board, which, of course, if you're allowed the chance to do it, take it. And now the computer, even at this stage, is already saying that white is a couple of pawns worth ahead on position. So let's see how it went. h6 was played, which is odd because it just unprotects this pawn. The best move is to develop the bishop, which is the whole point of playing g6 in the first place. Pawn takes here. Knight to f6 now. Again, it should really be e6, but already you can see the computer's saying this one is done for. And now this square is so weak and it's difficult to see any way for black to do anything about the potential fork, about saving the queen. And this is what happens if you don't get the openings right. You get stuck. So d6, there was no good reason not to just play the fork. So the knight's now attacking queen and rook. Queen to d7. No good reason not to just take the rook while it's offered. e5 is correct, but a little late. So black tries to grab the center. May as well take it at this point, because when recaptures, you just swap off. You have to remember, when you're miles ahead in material, if you can't think of an immediate way to play for checkmate, just swap off pieces, because you're just going to win. If you swap the pieces off, that attacked that pawn and that pawn. And I know the bishop defends, but, oh, excuse me. I know the bishop was defending, but of course it's attacked twice. So we just want to get the knight out the corner, try and save it if we can. Bishop b4, it's a check. Well, we can block it easily enough. There are ways to do it. The computer likes pushing to c3, but remember, at this point, I'm happy just swapping off pairs of pieces. a5 lets me swap a pair of pieces, but it also left an unprotected pawn, so may as well have that first. Bishop a4, well, at this point, why not? Kick it away, there, and that's the point at which black said no mas and resigned. So again, just an example, really, this one, of what not to do in the opening. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the modern defense, g6, bishop g7, and probably d6, knight f6, the modern and the perk, but you need to know it. And again, the Dutch Leningrad is absolutely fine, nothing wrong with it at all, but you do need to understand that if you're going to play it, you can't allow this pawn to come marching up the board. So, and at that point, from that moment, this is allowed to get up here. The game's actually almost done. Anyway, so go to the end there just for the final screen. So that's the end of that one. As I say, there was another game going on that was one on time at this point, and I believe this one took the grade up to around 1280, give or take. So going up. All right, let's be back soon with the next game.